You're listening to Change Your POV Podcast, episode 70. It is far more overlooked than any other piece of information on your resume, and there's a lot of mistakes that can happen. And you're like, what do you mean mistakes? Like, I know how to spell my name. Well, yeah, I get that, but how many email addresses do you have? The one that's on your resume, is that the one that you're actually using or reviewing? Perhaps you've moved and you've got a new address.
Welcome to Change Your POV Podcast, helping you navigate transitions in your life, like entering and exiting college or the military, changing jobs or careers, and providing you with the coaching and mentorship needed to help you advance in your personal or professional life. Sometimes all you need is to change your point of view. Now, here's your host, Eddie Lazary.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Change Your POV Podcast. I am your host, Eddie Lazary, and today is the 7th episode, the conclusion episode of the 7-Day Resume. And today we're going to talk about how to upload and turn in your resume, how to save the digital copy of your resume, the naming convention of the digital file, the follow-up email, and the follow-up written card. So, before I continue with that, I just would like to share with you briefly a challenge that Bennett and I are currently working on. So he and I have been talking for quite a while now about getting back into shape. And we are both very just unhappy with the way we look and the way we feel. We've got a lot of weight that we need to lose, and we just need to get back into eating a healthier diet and just being fit for many, many, many reasons. And so we decided that we were going to go ahead and do this. And I said, you know what, Bennett? Why don't we do this, but we put everything online for everyone to see and follow along. And it was kind of a scary thing to even consider doing something like that. But we talked about it and we said, you know what? Why not, right? So we decided to do what we're now calling the 30-Day Well-Fit Challenge. And if you want to know more about that and follow along, you can actually see pictures of us. We call them our fat pictures. And we've got our starting weight. We've got our starting BMI. We are doing daily journaling to capture our wins and our failures, our needs to improve, some ideas and comments every single day. We are using the same diet book. We're using the Paleo Primer, and the link to that book is also on the page. So you can go on over to changeyourpov.com/30-day well-fit challenge, all one word. Again, that's changeyourpov.com/30-day well-fit challenge. And you can go over there and follow us. And if you want to participate, we made it available for you to also follow along and to participate. You just scroll down the page. There'll be an opt-in there. You provide your name and email, and you will immediately get sent a downloadable PDF version of what we're doing. So you'll get your downloadable, which is also printable. You will get your initial data sheet where you can capture your name, your weight, your starting height, your BMI, and a picture of yourself, and some other things to fill out there. And then there will also be where the week or the daily exercise schedule that Ben and I are following is also there, so you can print that out and follow those exercises. And I just got to throw out there that we decided that we wanted to not only get back into eating real healthy food, which is why we chose the paleo diet, but we said, you know what? We want to make this so we don't have to go to the gym either. So all the exercises you can do wherever you live. You don't need a gym membership. There's no weights. There's none of that. It's just body weight, like push-ups, sit-ups, that kind of a thing. There's sprints, there's running, there's stretching, there's yoga. There's a bunch of stuff in there, and it's all geared towards weight loss. And so just for those of you that might be considering participating. And then there's also some sheets you can print out where you can do your daily journaling, just like Bennett and I are doing, and some more pages you can print out to take notes so you can capture any recipes or any ideas, thoughts, hacks, things that you learn along the way. So I really highly encourage you to participate. I would love to have, oh, and by the way, there's also a closed Facebook group that we created for this at 30-Day WellFit Challenge as well. And so if you opt in and you pick up your downloadable PDF, you'll also get added to the Facebook group where you can hang out with all of us crazy sons of bitches that are out there trying to get our fat bodies back into shape. All right. So with that, let's get into this final lesson of the 7-day resume. All right, first we're going to talk about submission and follow-up, okay? So we are nearing the end, obviously, of the 7-day training program, and I really hope that you learned a ton from this training over the past, 6 weeks or 7 weeks, if you can include today, to be successful in all your endeavors. And again, you can pick up this free training course by heading over to 7dayresume.com, okay? So at this point, your training, you have already crafted your recruiter-ready resume, and it is now time to submit it to a recruiter and or hiring manager or upload it onto a job board or a company website like Indeed or Monster or one of those, or just a plain company site. Before I get too far along in this training, I must mention resume editing, okay? It's important that you edit your resume along the entire creation process. But it's critical that you complete a thorough editing cycle prior to submitting your resume to anyone, whether it be in person or online. Okay, so follow these steps. This is what I recommend in the editing cycle. 1, completely read through the resume from top to bottom and look for any spelling or punctuation errors. 2, trace backwards in time, so from the bottom to the top, and check the job date ranges and ensure that all dates are linked and identify any overlaps or gaps in the employment history. If there are overlaps, you should correct it, but if there are legitimate gaps where there shouldn't be, and you do correct it, just make sure that you have a way to explain those gaps in employment, because those gaps in employment are looked at by the recruiter and hiring manager, and you will more than likely be asked about them. So just go into your next evolution of your hiring process, be it a phone interview or an in-person interview, and just be prepared to talk about that. Number 3, double check your header content information. Okay, a lot of people, they will recycle their resumes and they will change the body of the resume, but they will forget about the header information. This information is second nature to most folks, and so therefore it is far more overlooked than any other piece of information on your resume, and there's a lot of mistakes that can happen. And you're like, what do you mean mistakes? Like, I know how to spell my name. Well, yeah, I get that, but how many email addresses do you have? The one that's on your resume, is that the one that you're actually using or reviewing? Perhaps you've moved and you have got a new address or new phone number. You've got a new cell phone, perhaps with a new number. So information changes on your header of your resume. So you want to double check that to make sure that is all current and relevant. Number 4, ensure your bullet statements are clear and succinct. Remember, your bullet statement should not be a proper complete sentence, but they should be clear enough to convey your message. Number 5, once I do this complete review of the resume, I leave it sit for 1 or more days, okay? So review everything that I said for steps 1 through 4, and then let it sit for at least 1 full day or more. Now, obviously, if you're pressed for time, then you can't leave it for more, but you got to leave it sit for at least 1 day. And here's why, okay? When you come back to it, you're going to see it with a fresh set of eyes. You will be amazed at how much more you will be able to find by letting it sit for at least a day, and then make the corrections accordingly. All right? Number 6, finally, I have at least 2 other people review the resume. All right? These people will have a natural tendency to want to correct the incompleteness and punctuation of your bullet statements, but just inform them prior to reviewing your resume that the bullet statements should not have punctuation, nor should they be necessarily written in complete sentences. What you're looking for from them is to check for comprehension and misspelled words. All right? Also, have them call the number that you have on your resume, all right, and let it go to voicemail, and then give you some feedback on what your voicemail sounds like to them. All right, you can review your own voicemail, but it's yours. It's your voice. You're always going to feel weird about it. Listening to your own voice, trust me, I know when I first started podcasting and I was doing editing, I was like, oh man, I just couldn't stand listening to my own voice. And everybody's like that. Obviously, this is, episode 70 now, so I've gotten over that a little bit. But people don't like listening to their own voice, so it's very difficult to critique your own voice and your own message. So have these 2 people that you've selected to also call and check your voicemail and provide you some feedback. Okay? How to upload and turn in your resume. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled program here. Again, this is something that I see done poorly, so I wanted to include it in this training. So let's take each one separately. First, saving a digital copy of your resume. You will want to save a digital copy of your resume, and you will want the ability to access it from anywhere. Many will save the resume on the hard drive at home, or on a flash drive or thumbstick, or on some other physical device. This makes accessing your resume difficult in the event you need it in a hurry. Okay, so my recommendation here is to save your resume on a cloud-based platform like Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive or even Dropbox. One of these 3 platforms will give you the ability to access your resume from any computer or device if and when needed. Another upside is that all 3 of these options offer a free account up to a certain storage capacity. So this is more than enough to store your resume on it. Okay? You will want a working copy of your resume saved on the cloud-based platform of your choice, like a Word document, a Google Doc, and you will also want a PDF version of your resume as well. All right? Naming the digital file. So remember, a lot of times we're going to be submitting our resumes online to a job board or directly to a company, and your digital file is going to be named something. Okay, so you will want the recruiter and or hiring manager to find your digital resume easily, so you will want to name the digital file appropriately. To do this, just follow this simple format. Your name dash 2016 or whatever year it is, .pdf, for example. So my resume looks like this. Eddie Lazary -2016.pdf. Pretty simple, right? You will want to use the same name you have listed on your resume. For example, if my name on my header of my resume is Edward Lazary, I would not want my file name to be Eddie Lazary -2016.pdf. This will just cause confusion for the recruiter or hiring manager, so keep it consistent. I also use the year as a way to keep track of multiple versions when updated yearly. This will also demonstrate to your recruiter and hiring manager that you know that your resume, and they will know that your resume is current. That said, this only works if it's actually 2016 when you submit your resume. I've actually received resumes that were dated or that were titled several years in the past. They may have been updated resumes, but the naming convention on the resume was definitely not current. All right, so you will want to update this next year in 2017, etc. All right, next, follow-up. This is very important. The method for doing this will vary greatly. You will want to follow up via a phone call to the recruiter and or hiring manager, in person if it's for a promotion within your company, or via email, which is probably the most commonly used. Regardless of the method used, it is critical that you find a way to follow up with someone once you've submitted your resume. You cannot assume just because you hit, send button and that you've delivered it, or that you've uploaded it, or you've emailed it, or whatever method used to actually, get it out there. You can't assume, right, that they got it. Right. This also demonstrates that you care about this potential opportunity. It also demonstrates that follow-up is important to you. And guess what? Follow-up and follow through is also important to your recruiter and hiring manager. So not a bad way to work yourself into the maybe pile, right? Next, follow-up email. As I mentioned, the most common way to follow up is via email. This, of course, means that you must have your recruiter or hiring manager's email address. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics on how to obtain this, but you got to just figure out a way. All right? It is easier than one might think, I will say that. Once you do have their email address, I recommend sending a follow-up email addressed by name to your recruiter or hiring manager. Because you probably submitted your resume through some electronic portal, it is a very good idea to also include a PDF copy of your resume in the follow-up email. Okay? Next, follow-up written card. Okay, this may sound a bit old-fashioned, but I highly recommend mailing in a handwritten follow-up card addressed by name to the recruiter and or hiring manager. This practice is largely overlooked by most, but those that do this will absolutely get noticed and remembered. There's no guarantee that this will give you an advantage, however, but not doing this will absolutely guarantee that you won't have an advantage. You see what I mean? All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. I know it was a quick one today. You have now completed the 7-day resume course. Well, the audio version anyway, in the last several episodes. I hope you found this information informative and useful. And I would love some feedback, so please send me some feedback. You can do so by sending me an email at eddie@changeyourpov.com, or you can go over to changeyourpov.com, and in the comments section, you can also leave me some comments there as well. Remember, if you have any questions or would like to connect with others that are on their path to a winning resume, head on over to the Facebook group. You've got to opt into the training program first, but there's a Facebook group, 7-Day Resume. It's a closed group for everyone that's participating. So there's people on there that are on their journey currently, and I'm assisting them and meeting with them and reviewing their resume and helping them out. So if you're looking for that, it's all free. Just head on over and sign up for the 7-Day Resume, and I'd love to see you on the Facebook page. All right, so that'll wrap things up. I appreciate your time, and I thank you very much for everything that you do for this show. It would not be possible without you and your interest and your feedback. That said, I would really appreciate if you could find a few moments to head over to iTunes and leave me an honest review. And I say honest review because although I really do love and appreciate 5-star ratings, what's more important to me than 5-star ratings is to make this show better for you. And in order to do that, I got to find out what it is that you like, what it is that you don't like, what I can do better, what are some things that you might want to learn more about. And so you can do that by heading over to iTunes and leaving me a review. Another thing that it does is the more reviews I get, the more higher in the search rankings in iTunes. So people that are out there searching for podcasts to listen to, perhaps for their commute to or from work or whatever they're doing there, they're looking for information that may help them out. If you think that this podcast has helped you out, or if you feel that this podcast has helped you out and you think it can help others, then you can help other people find this podcast by leaving a review. So that's how you can give back. So that's it. You can find all of the show notes for this episode by heading over to changeyourpov.com/episode 70. Never miss an episode. Hit subscribe on your podcast player of choice. We have a lot more great content headed your way. Come be a part of our community over on Facebook at Change Your POV Squad. That's where our community is. Or you can check out our Facebook page at Change Your POV. All right, until next time.
Thanks for listening to Change Your POV podcast with Eddie Lazary. Check out more content by going to changeyourpov.com. And remember, your ability and willingness to change your point of view will open doors of opportunity.